Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano paZimu News update apo patinode kupa mafirst hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So nhau waitinayo pano tine nhau wambiri oro nhatu zetiri kuya takatibatanidzei pasame video. So tiri kuona mauto vari kutaura iwo kutoti Shoni Mnangagwa akatrena kupi uye akarwa hondo kupi. Zvetiri kuona zvaari kungokwidziridzwa zvidanho nguva nenguva, munhu asina kana kumbotrena, asina kana kumboita sei, aringonzi akaenda kuchina uko ongonyembedzerwa kunzi ari kutrena ikoko, iye akangogara then ongobuda vakachitambidzwa picture napresident wekuchina uko sort of like wakaenda kurussia ukongobuda achitambidzwa chitsamba nana Putin chichi chimweya. Ngaaende kuamerica, waroti ngaaende kuamerica, ngaaende kunana UK uko tinyase kuona kuti munhu akatrena chaizvo chaizvo. So tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe pari kutaura kunzi iye Shoni Mnangagwa wacho kutoti nemwiri wake uya ari kuti akatrena kana kuti akaita sei kutonyepera chaicheko because haangamboti kana 3 hours akabata AK47 uya kunyepa chaicheko. So tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe pari kunzi pane massive military check up iri kuda kurongwa napresident Emerson Mnangagwa pari kungopasisa constitutional amendment bill number 3. kuna wasiri kuziva constitutional amendment bill number 3 rasara 18 days chete kuti waMnangagwa wangu achisaina, rakagazetwa navaziyambe because pakarohwa 90 days rifungata yekudze richangotanga kuti 18 May rinenge richisaina because tatangozvicalculata zvese. Tiri kuona kuti rakagazetwa navaziyambe rakagazetwa navaJacob Mudenda, rakanyorwa navaziyambe rekutoti dare reparamende rakabvumiranawo futi nazvo because tiri kuona kuti vamwe nekutriple C although Bospara vakati hawachakwanisi kukupai ma10,000 angada kupiwa kuparliament aya. Triple C yanga yatosaina kudhara muri yeZimbabwe vari kutodzida mari idzodzo. Ndofunga takaona mai wekubudiriro north vaya vakapiwa mari naChibvayo nechi. So Chibvayo akangozongoregedza nhau dzacho idzodzo akangoti regedzei tiise mari iyi kumachairman emaprovince. So tiri kuona pana pakanyorwa kunzi alert Mnangagwa plans a massive military shake-up after signing constitution amendment bill. Information suggests a total page is coming with all of it. Senior officers and generals set for forced retirement. The military must be ready. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Don't be blindsided. Tiri kuona panapa muri yeZimbabwe ndizvo zviri kuitika kumilitary kutoti zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka. Pari kungosainwa chete sini iri waMnangagwa vanenge vakukwanisa kuita zvavanoda. Ndo zviri kuredza kuti wapanapa. So tira kuti tione mayouth vari kurwisana neconstitutional amendment bill number 3 iyo tinzwe kuti vanenge vari kutaura kuti kudini muri yeZimbabwe. So tiri kuona pana pakanyorwa kunzi nurses a living wage and Mnangagwa delivers a swimming pool and we are in winter. Tiri kuona panapa vakaiswa swimming pool paperinyatwa chimwe. So ngatinzwei vachitaura
with us in rejecting the constitutional amendment bill, and they shouldn't cut corners regarding this matter, and we don't want a situation where the processes will be manipulated, but we want them to be their voices because we entrusted them with the power to represent us. So in whatever they are going to do, they should represent the power of the people. And as the people of Zimbabwe, we are going to we are saying we are rejecting the constitutional amendment bill number 3.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. But being specific on the gender issue, because there's this school of thought that says that it's one of those issues that were just thrown in there, and it will be used as a trade-off to say that okay, we are scrapping this, we are removing this, from the amendment as a way of appeasing others. What are your do you think that is what is about to be happening here? Because when they merge such an important institution, merge it with another institution, and no longer and making it no longer be a standalone thing, there's a lot that is going to be happening with the with that development in terms of dilution of protection and accountability, in terms of loss of self independent or platforms for the survivors. You've spoken about you as a young person, you fear that there's going to be that increased vulnerability for young girls and young women, etc, etc. In term, if you were to be talking to these guys about this thing, would you call for them to just scrap, the whole thing out of it, or you are saying that is one example why cab 3 should never see the light of the day? Isn't there?
Hi, Uncle
Ah,
Gerard. Your
okay.
phone was breaking. Can you please repeat your
All
question?
right. No, I'm saying, given the issues that you're raising,
Yes.
does this then justify the call to say the whole Cape 3 must be, scrapped? Because talking about an important institution like, this gender, commission thing being diluted or being, removed, it strikes at the heart of women's existence in terms of their rights, in Zimbabwe. So if they are wanting to be touching, that thing, it then defeats, the whole purpose. So is that the reason why you're saying the whole bill is not fit for purpose and you're calling for the scrapping of this whole bill?
Yes, you are right on that matter. I say we reject the whole amendment bill because you are not looking only onto the um dismantling of the gender commission and its effect, especially on in terms of women's rights issues, but we have also witnessed on how through the amendment bill women continue to suffer, especially on issues that I've mentioned on what happens during the hearings where women have to stop working so that they go and chant ZANU-PF
Slogans and, and everything.
ZANU-PF slogan and just say amendment bill. And if you are to ask that person, what do you mean by amendment bill number 3? Right now, we're seeing Kombi's t-shirt has written amendment bill number 3 Bo. And if you are to ask what do you mean by amendment bill, what's there to say you are in support of? That don't give us a proper answer. It's just ZANU-PF Bo. So the amendment bill number 3 is not only about the dismantling of the gender commission and how we see like women's issues will be violated, but we have witnessed through those through the processes of women being used on the forefront to support the amendment bill number 3. I heard someone speaking from, I don't know, the Mashonaland East, where they had to force women. They were taken, in fact, where they were having a church gathering to go and support the amendment. We are just being taken somewhere. They are going to you are told that you are attending a church meeting, and boom, we are being told that I should be chanting amendment bill number
Bill number
3.
3.
Number 3, Bo. You see,
Right.
so it's not like there are a whole lot of issues how women are just being violated through these whole processes, and we've seen how those in power are just using our money, our taxpayers' money, just to fulfill their for their selfish gains. Say
Right.
they are rewarding especially men being bought
Right.
with
Oh,
through
oh,
cars and all those
oh,
stuff, but we haven't seen our women said we are playing. It's not like we
right. Oh,
have to say
all
that
right.
man should.
Okay, Cynthia. Right, Cynthia. Thank you very much. Let me stop you, right there. We are struggling, with your mic, but I want to move on to Keegan. Keegan, do you want to, come through? I understand that Keegan, you are the spokesperson. Am I right? By that, you are the spokesperson of the CDF youth.
You are right, Komajet, you're right.
Right. Thank you very much, for coming through right there. Let me give my sister, my young sister right there, a break, and then bring you into this, conversation. I'm quite sure you are prepared. You know what you want to talk to us about. You from the perspective or from the position of being a spokesperson, can you talk to us about what the young people are doing, what you guys are doing pertaining to this Cab 3, and also some of the challenges that you are facing as young people? We know there are arrests, we know there's harassment, we know there's everything that is going on. Can you talk to us about what is going on?
Thank you very much, Mkomajet, for this opportunity to speak for and on behalf of the CTF Youth Command and largely the youth of Zimbabwe that have been a victim to this Constitution Amendment Bill number 3, alongside the majority of Zimbabweans that are opposed to it. As the CTF Youth Command, we have been caught up at a very, disheartening moment where we have failed to literally capture the hearts of young people, not because we do not have something to offer, but because the nature of the fabric of our society has been broken down by its governance, by its values, by its morals across all the political divide. Young people in Zimbabwe are no longer inspired by the principles and values that were the basis of the liberation struggle, the principle of one man, one vote, solely because they have not been in a position to be educated, to be conscientized about the issues that affect young people, in as much as in a period of all these years there have been deliberate works to get young people to be the change that they want to be, because young people have been touted as the change makers. They've been touted as the the breakers and the bearers of the democratic future that they want to see. So in Zimbabwe, the fabric is such that you come to Bulawayo or you come to Kuruve, a young person is not inspired by Professor Atam Tambara. His source of inspiration is Sewikno Chivayo, who is displacing cars and so forth and so forth. So society naturally, has evolved from that, not because it has naturally or willingly done so, but because we have been, brought to this limelight, which I would not characterize as um, what we envision as young people, but what has been presented to us in a bid to capture, our thinking, to capture our foresight by the character administration. So as the CDF, we've been in contact, on ground with young people interacting, and trust me when I say majority of the young people that turned up to these public consultations and hearing and so forth were very clear that constitutional amendment bill must not progress. We have apart from that, we have understood that constitutions are not rigid documents. Constitutions serve the people. The people obey and abide to the constitutions. So it is not, an interesting conversation that we should avoid in an amendment of the constitution. But an amendment of the constitution does not exist in a vacuum. It exists out of superior logic and intention, the genuinity of the cause that, if I may say, I am amending a particular constitution today. What is the intent behind that? What is the motive? It is termed constitutional amendment bill number 3, not because it is the first amendment, because there have been other amendments, whether they are right or not. Young people of Zimbabwe then come with this aspect to say the intention is primarily focused on extending the presidential term, which young people do not want. Some of them are first time voters and would like to vote for their president directly. Some of them do not understand, these contradictory statements that have been touted in this bill, such as election mood toxicity, which are mere oxymorons to young people. So, as the CTF, we've been in market side recruitments and conscientization under these, strict, or should I say harsh conditions, where any alternative or dissenting voice is made with a brutal force of arrest or assault. I say this because we have brought to light the arrest of Comrade Takunda Muka, who has been suspended and expelled from Midland State University solely because when this constitutional amendment bill was passed as a resolution in Bulawayo, and last year in March, we took a position as the Zimbabwe National Students Union by then to say the intent of this document does not reflect the aspirations of the general students and youth in tertiary, youth in business, and unemployed youth. It does not speak to what their future should look like. It speaks precisely to the elitist narrative of view that um, power should only evolve around them without any meaningful or tangible deliverables that have served young people. So, as the CTF Youth Command, we have been in that position to say, despite these conditions that are on ground, our material existence is solely because we need to see a change in our lifetime. And come what may, we shall stay committed to the principles of the liberation struggle, to the principles of a better Zimbabwe for everyone who lives in it and for everyone who shall inherit it from us. Thank you, Mkoma Jez, for that.
Right. I've got a question, for you, a quick one. But before I pose another question to you, I want to ask, Natalie. Natalie, I see you, right there. I have sent you a request. If you can accept, that request, or you can make a request of your own, and then I'll bring you onto the platform. I'm seeing you in there, but I think I've sent you a request, twice now. Can you try to do it, yourself? But if you look for the notifications, there must be a request, that you're going to see there, and just respond, to that, request. Um, Keegan, you have spoken about the struggles that you are facing in sort of bringing other young people, into line, or in terms of bringing other people, young people, to see things from the way you are seeing them. Can I ask you, what kind of support then do you guys, you need, right now, so that, you can overcome some of these challenges that you are facing when you try to reach out to these to these other young people?
Thank you, Mkoma Jet, once again. The best support that young people can be given is opportunities to prove themselves that they are capable enough. Young people are solely not inspired because they haven't seen other young people taking up these spaces, simply because they are preserved, they get kept, and they are only, availed on a patronage basis. So, a young person cannot, expect me or expect to see a leader in me. This other day I was in town with a youth councillor here in Bulawayo, and residents were just outside the town hall. So when we got there, the councillor um, introduces himself. Introduces himself and say, "I am the councillor for this specific ward," and you could tell with the shock from the young people that were there to say, how can you be a councillor at this particular level of your age? So
Mhm.
it is an issue of inspiration. So we need to then build solidarity spaces such as these that you've offered us. But apart from that, we need to invest in ourselves, in our capacity, and prove ourselves competent as young people to take charge of duties and responsibilities, present our deliverables, and inspire other young people on our own. So the best form of support right now is the solidarity in these trying times. Number one, and secondly, we know that this struggle has its own repercussions and so forth. For young people that are victimized by the brutal force of the government of the day, we need to have safety nets and welfare spaces for these comrades of ours that are in prison cells for solely believing in the idea that young people can lead, for solely believing in the idea that Zimbabweans deserves more than what they are getting right now. So we need to have such safety nets, And apart from that, we need unity is the greatest form of support. Unity across the political divide. I mean across the generational divide between young people and the elderly, who can best guide us in terms of how the road ahead should be faced, and how young people ought to handle themselves as well, not sidelining, the intellectual relationship between the two. That will be my submission, Komaji.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. I do appreciate you. Thank you very much. Oh, right. I wanted to bring in, Natalie, but I've seen Natalie, is dropped, right there. Natalie, can you try, one more time? Can you try, to come through? And the rest of the speakers, guys, can I ask you to make a request and join us? I see there is a leader from Zinasu, as well, in the in the space. You can make a request as well to be part and parcel, of this conversation. Right. Can I also make an appeal kuti kune vamwe vatirikugara tinawo panapa chimbomirai chakupai mukana wenyu chimbopai vanhu vechidiki the opportunity yekuti vauye vataure. Natalie, I see that you may be struggling with your network, but let me give you the opportunity to address us.
Thank you so much, Mkoma Gerard. Yes, I had been fighting with my network, but I'm back on now. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today, listening to us. I will not waste time and get directly into my submission. So I want to comment precisely on the effect of this whole bill on young people, especially with the clause 10 of adding more seats on strength and representation. But given our account on challenges that we're facing as young people in leadership, and young people who have the interest of one day taking up and pursuing public government spaces and position, this is a great hindrance. So I would like to take us back to a reflection on our current constitution. On Section 124 of our Constitution, it introduced a youth quota system to boost young people's representation in Parliament. After having seen that young people were not represented anyway in public office, and we saw the loopholes that it had, and
All right.
Unfortunately, it's not delivering as expected, because our young people are underrepresented in public office, and the dominance of older generations in politics, what we call gerontocracy, is still a significant barrier. And during the year of election in